Escuchas Entrevista Sonar, el rock y sus protagonistas, con Francisco Reynoso.
Pocas bandas son una absoluta garantía arriba del escenario. Y bueno, un miembro honorífico de esa liga selecta de rockeros contemporáneos es The Hives. El combo sueco vuelve a Chile el próximo 27 de noviembre al Teatro Caupolicán. Y hace unas semanas tuvimos la chance de conversar con todo un personaje, Mr. Pelle Almqvist, el frontman de The Hives. Los suecos anunciaron su primer disco en más de una década, The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons. Vamos a hablar sobre aquello, también compartimos las claves, o él nos comparte más bien las claves para sus shows a prueba de balas, y lo que no deja de ser interesante, cómo seguir llamando la atención sin reinventar la rueda. Son las idas y vueltas de The Hives y Mr. Pelle Almqvist, el líder, la voz y la cara más visible de uno de los grupos más prendidos del rock en este siglo. Otra de Entrevista Sonar.
Well, Pelle and Francisco from Radio Sonar, how's it going? Where are you? Here is 9 a.m.
Okay, yeah, it's 3 o'clock here, I think. I'm in Sweden, in the countryside, by the water, having a sauna and a swim, because this is supposed to be my day off.
Well, it's been like, I was thinking about it, because you just announced your South American tour. It's been 15 years since the first The Hives show in Chile. Why take you so long? Because it's been 9 years since your last gig in Chile.
No one asked us to come back and paid us enough money so we could afford to come back. That's a simple answer. It's not really up to us. You should complain to the Chilean promoters. But now it's happening. And I loved going to Chile, and I was hoping we could have come back sooner. But it also took us 10 years to make a record, so you should not trust the Hives with time. It's easy when, we feel like we're going to live forever, like we're immortal. So sometimes stuff takes a long time for us. We don't feel like we're in a hurry. But yeah, I really wish we could have played in Chile every year since then.
No worries. Well, it's about these 10 years, something unusual has happened with the Hives. For a band of your status, you haven't released an album with new songs since 2012. Why did you make that decision? What was happening in the songwriting department during this time, apart obviously from the singles you released in that period?
It was not a decision. It was hell. Randy Fitzsimmons disappeared kind of after Lex Hives, and we're really reliant on him for writing songs so that we can put out a record. And there was not enough songs, basically. Like, those singles are the only songs we had left over from him. And we recorded those in 2019 because we were so bored of not putting anything out. But yeah, I hated it. I hated being in the Hives for a long time. I loved playing the shows and all that, and I liked the guys in the band, but not putting out a record was terrible for us too. That's why I started that protest movement last winter, where I ran around with a sign all over the world, trying to get the Hives to make a new record. If it's felt bad for the fans, it's felt even worse for me, I'm pretty sure.
And we're very excited about the advance that you put on the net. The name of the album, as we know, is The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons. What is it like to go back to the studio in the band to record a full album after all this hell period?
Well, when we finally got around to doing it, and we had the songs and everybody was excited, it was really kind of fast and pretty painless compared to our other albums. It was once we actually went into the studio, everybody was really happy and excited to do it. So that was good. It was before we had the songs and could rehearse them and make an album that was terrible. Like, when I actually kind of enjoyed recording it. That was pretty fun.
Following the same line, so what is the concept behind this album?
Well, the idea behind the album was to make something that felt like, the feeling we all needed to feel after 10 years without a Hives album, after a global pandemic, and after all the boring un-rock and roll shit that's happened in the world the past 10 years. We really just wanted to feel euphoric and excited. So pretty much every song on the album, the only thing it's trying to do is like cause your adrenaline to flow and your brain liquids to go, and an emotional response of like, I want to destroy things and I want to have fun. It's like a euphoric feeling. That's pretty much all it's set out to do. And also to show that just because it's been a long time doesn't mean we have to make a mature album. It's like the opposite of that. It's like more childish than Lex Hives, which was
terrific.
10 years ago. So I think that was like the point was to just go, that's really all it's trying to do. Fucking shake things up and destroy other bands. Because also we feel like, we play the type of, Hives music for a very long time. And we're constantly waiting for someone to pick up the baton and run with it and do it better than us. But, I mean, we waited 10 years now and the throne was still empty for this type of music. So we just we could just pick it up and start going again. Like, I guess it's kind of such a stupid thing to do. So no one really tries to do it.
In a previous interview, Time Flies, I remember your last visit in Chile as a super act, if my memory doesn't fail, with the Arctic Monkeys. I remember too, in a previous interview, you said that Arctic Monkeys were the only really popular good band today, which led to mixed opinions, obviously, from fans. In the case of radio community, many differ. Why do you think a band like Arctic Monkeys generate equal parts love and hate?
I don't know I don't think you can say that a band that sells 700,000 tickets in an hour, it's not equal parts love and hate. I think with the Hives you can talk about equal parts love and hate, but the Arctic Monkeys seem like, to me, like one of the most universally loved bands on the planet. Like if you sell that many tickets and that many records and, you have like fucking, I don't know, hundreds of millions of listeners per month on Spotify or anything. But like any metric, the Arctic Monkeys are a super popular band. And I guess what I mean is like on that level, there are not really even other bands. I mean, okay, Rolling Stones and AC/DC. Like that's pretty much it. Like what other bands are that popular? I guess like Coldplay is that popular, but I don't like them as much.
Maybe Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. Yeah, I like Foo Fighters. I like the people. The people in the band. That band are amazing, and I think that's a great band. But I don't think they're really like the Arctic Monkeys. Not really their later stuff, but the Arctic Monkeys stuff that they did in the beginning kind of actually sounds like the Hives. That's like actual, like it's kind of punk rock music. Foo Fighters are considered more of like a straight rock band. So I think what I was trying to say was that like the fact that there's a band that can play to like 700,000 people and play music that's influenced by the Hives is kind of cool to me.
Pelle, you recently turned 45 years old. I wonder if you have any ritual that you can tell us, of course, to keep the adrenaline pumping on the stage.
A ritual? I don't know. I think it's just that's something that I need. It's really important to me to get to do that. That's why I didn't like the past 10 years. I think if you look at like, aging rock and roll stars, like they still seem pretty young. I don't know if that's because they always were, like that's who they are as people, but I think rock and roll has a part to play in it. Like, Dave Grohl still laughs all the time. Like Paul McCartney seems young and sprightly, and Mick Jagger turned 80, like he's still running around on stage for hours. I don't, most people I know that are 80 don't do that. So I think rock and roll is my secret ritual.
You guys had always a dirtiness or aridity typical of garage rock. How do these words that at times seem so different come together in rock, that two sides? How did you build that identity in the Hives?
I think just from loving both sides of that. We love being serious and we also love not being serious. And I think life is about balance and you got to get it all in there. Like in your music, like I think that's when it works best. And in life too, like and if you say we managed to put that into our music, I think that's awesome. But I think, life's about balance. You got to be sad to be happy. You got to be happy to be sad.
Pele, and I'm 42 years old, and I grew up with my friends with the Burning Heart period, the Burning Heart scene. For me, the Hives was a huge part of that Swedish scene, the mixture between the garage, hard rock, and hardcore punk. What do you remember from those first days of the band when you shared the stage with other kind of scene like Refuse, I don't know, Melancholy, Satanic Service?
I remember all of that.
From that hardcore period, and what was your favorite artist from that time, from that circle, from that scene, Swedish scene?
I remember all of that. Like, all those bands would play in our hometown. Like Burning Heart, the record company was from our hometown. So like all those bands like Melancholy and Refused and like those were the first shows we kind of went to, were those types of bands, like hardcore punk bands who were usually on Burning Heart Records, or they were brought there by Burning Heart Records. So it was a very formative period. And like our first tour was with Refused and No Fun At All. And No Fun At All we kind of knew because they were from the same town as us, and they were older and we kind of looked up to them. And Refused we kind of looked up to as well. Like they were bands that had made it in our, in our world at the time. And it was really fun, like touring with them. And it was like the highest version of going to sea, I guess, like being a sailor and seeing the world. Like the rock tour was that for us. And the fact that the first one we got to do was with both No Fun At All and Refused, I think was invaluable to us. We learned a lot from those guys. And my favorite bands from that era are probably Breach, Refused, and Turbo Negro are probably my favorites from the era. But yeah, No Fun At All, great too.
And is there any hardcore punk band that blew your mind or you consider a classic, like an album or a band in general? What is the most important?
Well, I like a lot of stuff. Like there's like a Madball album I really like. And I like, I can't remember what it's called, but it kind of came out around that time. They all look the same, so I keep confusing them. Demonstrating my style. It was demonstrating my style. I like that.
EMS.
It's kind of so stupid that it's cool to me. And I love that Refused Shape of Punk to Come. I think that's great. If we're talking hardcore punk. And then I really like the Sick of It All, Scratch the Surface album is good. If we're talking like what I consider hardcore, which is like, not kind of the melodic hardcore. I'm not talking about like Bad Religion and No Effects and that type of thing. I'm talking about like the other side of hardcore, I guess.
Well, Pelle, we are almost on time. Any fun memory, besides the typical thing about the audience, about Chile, because it's been like 15 years from that incendiary performance in Santiago in the Teatro Caupolicán?
I remember like there was a lot of fans outside the hotel, which was really cool. I remember eating some awesome food. And I remember a very beautiful girl who worked at the hotel breakfast.
Well, Pelle, can't wait to hear
We were just there for a day, but it was fucking great. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it now.
Thank you. We definitely see you in this gig. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be so much fun. Thanks for talking to me.
Esto fue Entrevista Sonar, el rock y sus protagonistas, con Francisco Reynoso.